Welcome to my podcast. This is a podcast where I'll be teaching you all the systems and strategies you need in creating your visibility so you can turn your passion for coaching into a profitable business. I'm your host, Michelle Quay. I am a visibility coach, content and email marketing strategist, international speaker, and author, as well as the founder of Elevate Life Coaching. Let's just say that I know a few things about overcoming seemingly impossible obstacles in life and in business. I'm on a mission to be the champion that helps you to get to the top of your mountain, one courageous step at a time. Welcome to the show. Very happy today because today we are going to talk about storytelling. So storytelling is something that I stumbled upon years ago when I first started out my coaching business, because the story that I share was the second year into my coaching business, I decided to publish a book. There's that book that was inside of me, marinating the whole entire time in my lifetime, and I just needed to get it out. So once I got it out, here I was, holding my book, and how do I actually send it out and spread it so that more people can hear about it? And ultimately, hopefully, the people who read my book will be so inspired and that they wanted to book a call with me, because I was doing life and mindset coaching back then. And so I was hoping that this book is going to be the turning point in my coaching business. But there I was holding the book, but how do I get my message out? And that was my biggest struggle. How do I get my message out so that more people would hear about me? And I came from a background of 20 years of healthcare, so nobody knew who I was. And I had no follower. Like, all my followers were like my friends, my family. Like, they don't want to buy from me. Maybe, one time, and maybe I get them to sign up like one time, hey, join my newsletter. But ultimately, in the long run, they're not going to be able to sustain my business for me, right? So I need to expand to a bigger stage, and I need to get my message out to more people. And there I was like trying to figure out, how do I do that? And one of the things, as I was writing book, I realized there's a lot of points where I can talk about stories, right? But if you look at everyone's life, like tell me how many of you, give me a high five, do a high five emoji. If you have so many stories in your life, right? You can share, you can talk about, there are just so many stories that it's going through your head. Oh, I could talk about that. I could talk about this. I could talk about that one time, maybe I was drunk and I was dancing on the bar, which I did. I was totally out and I was dancing on the table and with my two crutches. That's how out there I was. So you have a lot of story to tell, and this is a common struggle for a lot of my clients too, right? Because they walk in, they have like years and years of experiences, and they have a lot of story in their belt they wanted to share, they wanted to tell, to inspire others. So how do you know exactly which story is important to tell, and that would actually generate a lead or a sale for you? And so today I'm going to cover 4. Okay, if you wanted to use if you want to grab a pen or start doing some note taking on your phone, today I'm going to share 4 types of storytelling that you should be incorporating in your marketing strategies. Okay, so when I say incorporating, you don't go everything into once, right? So there's going to be 4 types, and these 4 types, I would highly recommend that you rotate them throughout your weekly content. So we have 5 days a week. So what I typically love to do is I throw in a mixture of different types. So for example, we all have that hashtag Monday is motivational day, right? So hashtag Monday motivation, that would be a great day to share one of these 4 types of story. So I'm going to go through every single type today, and I'll give you some examples of what type of stories that you might want to include in each different type. The first type of the story is the founder story. FOUNDER, founder story. What is a founder story? So each story type has a purpose behind them. So when you share on social media, I want you to think about, okay, so today I am going to share a founder story. So the founder story, the purpose behind the founder story is This allows your potential client, your dream client, to align and engage with the value and the transformation of the service that you're going to offer. So think about the values that you have. Okay. So when you started out a business, there's always a reason why. Like, what are some of the values that you bring into your coaching business? And that would be a great founder story that you want to tell. What are some of the examples of the founder story? Things like what inspired you to become a coach. There are probably a big lessons that you have learned that inspire you to say, you know what, today I don't want to clock in and out. I don't want to go to my other work anymore. That one just pays my bill. I really have this passion for something else. So what was that moment like? What prompted you to start a coaching business? So that would be a great story to tell on the founder story. What inspired you to become a coach? And this is something that you see a lot of time when people reach out to you, like these marketers will reach out to you, right? And they secretly DM you, hey, Maria, what inspired you to become a coach? And so they wanted to know what started that process. What is the reason? What is the purpose behind how you got to where you are today? And so that's a very typical founder story. What inspired you to become a coach? And you wanted to kind of explore as much detail as possible. What I would recommend is you grab a notebook, and then on the free time, maybe today is Sunday, grab some drink, hot cocoa, whatever, wrap yourself with a blanket and just sit down and think about all the reason, all the lessons that you have learned up until the point you start the business. Okay. So those would be great little stories that you can bring into your social media posts and say, the reason why I started my coaching business was because I was really burned out from my other work. And the reason why I was burned out was because my best friend cheated on me. Right? That would be a great story to tell. And people are like, what? And so it's more, it goes, storytelling goes more deeper than that, right? But I'm giving you a general idea of how do you start, how do you go about brainstorming all these little story, juicy story, and map it out, categorize them by these different types. What else would be an example of the founder story? It would be something like the historical. What is the history behind your service, behind your offer, or what started out your business in the first place, right? Which we talked about, what inspired you to become a coach. And what were some of the pain and struggles that you were experiencing as you're starting this business? It's like really in the beginning of the journey, like what did you have to overcome in order to start your business? The story that I shared earlier, right? I have this book in my hand and I didn't know how to get it out. I didn't know how to spread the word. So I was fighting, and that was my struggle. That was like what founded the fact that I'm so passionate about storytelling, because I want to spread the message out for my business. So that's my founder story. So what is your founder story? I want you to actually just brainstorm today and think about what are some of the details to that story. And just because you brainstorm everything on the piece of paper, right? This is something that I see coaches do sometimes. You brainstorm a whole bunch of idea onto the piece of paper, and then you just dump everything out, right? You have to think about it. Like 365 days, every day you can have a piece of story. So don't just dump all the stories out there. Pick one and focus on that one. And the purpose behind that story is that I'm going to share and tell a founder story. Okay, it narrows down the purpose, the reason behind why you're writing that post. And it helps your audience to get a better picture of what is this post about, right? Because if you throw a whole bunch of idea out there, it gets them really confused. Like, exactly what do you want me to know? And so it's funny because I was dropping my my students at airport today, and then there's this billboard on the side of the freeway, and there's like a slogan, and it says something about like if you want something different, and here it is, you're looking at it, and we both go like, huh? So we're like sitting there, huh? Like, who wrote these campaigns? People need to get trained in how to write a better slogan or better billboard. Like, so you don't want your audience to feel that way. Like every time they read your post or read your blog, you're gonna give it a very specific purpose, a reason why they're reading this. Okay, so take them through that story. And today I want you to know about how I founded Elevate Life Coaching, for example. Okay. All right. So that's the first type. of audience, first type of story. The second type of story would be the purpose story. A purpose story is, let's say you have a one-on-one coaching, right? One-on-one coaching program, and you have service, or maybe you have a digital product, right? A course. Maybe you're selling planners. One of my clients is actually making a planner. Keep an eye out. Gina is making a beautiful planner, and then she asked me how it looks. I really loved it. So what is the purpose behind the store, behind your service, behind your product, behind what you do, right? So it's really about providing that history of, this is the reason why I created one-on-one coaching program, because I want to have that intimacy, I want to have that accountability. So some of the purpose story will answer questions like, what is the purpose of your business? Why did you start it? Right? A lot of like, why did you even start it? Who is this for? Like, why should I care? What are you going to help me with? So what is your purpose behind this service for me, right? What's in it for me? So those are the questions that you wanted to answer in the purpose story. And what else would be like example for a purpose story? Purpose story would be something like, when I came back from Machu Picchu, right, after my hike, I was totally inspired because I finally realized that there's something bigger than myself. There's something that I can do as long as I put my mind to it, I put my determination to it. And my purpose here to start a business is that I want to inspire others so that they can get up and start taking some action. So that's my purpose story, right? And you can do something similar. You started this coaching business because you were so inspired and you want to make a bigger impact in this world, and you want to help people who's really looking there and waiting for you to reach out and give them a helping hand. And because you know that there's something that you can help them with, and that is your purpose. So what is your purpose? What is your purpose behind your service, behind your coaching business? Those would be a great story to tell. And again, you wanted to like brainstorm, right? So I'm giving you 4 different types. For each type, I want you to sit down and kind of brainstorm, what are some of the life experiences that really prompted me to realize that inspiration is one of my purpose, or authenticity is one of my purpose, or being courageous is one of my purpose. Like, what is the purpose, and what did you learn, and what did you have to go through in order to learn that lesson? So those would be categorizing the purpose story. The third type of story would be the vision story. The vision stories, the purpose behind it is about providing hope, and you want to enroll your audience and enroll your soulmate client. I call them soulmate client because once you click, you really click, right? We all want clients, but there's actually a difference between having these soulmate clients who really get you, who click with you, and the moment they jump onto your call, they want to sign up with you, versus these we go through so many different discovery call, and one after another, they're just like not interested, or they can't really afford, or they're just like they're missing in action a lot of time. They just kind of flaky sometimes. And so I call them the soulmate client because you want to attract those soulmate clients. And so the vision story is about enrolling and giving those soulmate clients the hope that they need so that they can see the vision of what is possible for them. So as you're creating these stories, I want you to think about what are some of the vision that you had in your life, right? At what point did you realize that, oh, I can be bigger, I can think bigger, I can think boldly, right? What was that vision like? So paint that picture, use the story to paint a picture of what is possible after I talk about the mindset, after I address all these negativity or inner critics or the imposter syndrome. What would be the afterward picture like, and how would that translate to my everyday life experience? How would that help me? So you're painting with a vision story, you're painting an opportunity of what is possible for someone else's life after they start working with you, right? So if you're introducing your coaching program, what is the possibility for me? You got to paint that picture and take me with you, to dream with you, right? Right now I'm like all stuck. I don't know what direction to go. There's a lot of I don't know. So you got to help me to paint that picture for me. What is possible on the other side? What is possible for me? What is the opportunity for me to experience? Right. So that is the purpose of vision story. Now, the vision story, what are some of the questions that you can answer? So a couple of things. How does your service will going to help them to create their vision? Right. What is your service going to help them to recognize those values that they have? How is your coaching service going to help them to recognize that they can be someone like reaching their full potential, for lack of words, reaching their full potential. So how do you paint that picture? And what are the stories that in your life, right, you realize that, there's actually opportunity here for me to learn. And those would be important to share, right? You enroll someone into your vision, but every time we talk about our vision, our values, people are seeing themselves through your stories. Like when I talk about, I have this book, nobody wants to buy, I don't have anybody, you're probably hearing in some way or in another your own story. You're not hearing my story anymore. You're hearing kind of like your story, right? Because you have a coaching business and you're holding on to it, but you need to get more people so that they can become your coaching clients. And same thing, the same analogy that I'm using, even though I'm talking about my story, but what you hear is your own story. So that is the beauty about storytelling, right? Are you with me? Give me a high five if you're still with me. And when you do this, when you start, so we covered 3 already. I'm going to talk about the last one. When you do rotate out through these different type of story, it doesn't feel like I'm selling you stuff, right? Does it? It doesn't, right? Because I'm telling you about the purpose. I'm telling you about the founder. How did I started this business? What is my passion and why I care what I care? I'm not selling you anything, but it gets you so inspired, so fired up that you want to do something together with me. And that is the power of storytelling. I'm not selling directly, but in the way that I'm inviting you to see a vision, to see a possibility, to see the opportunity of how you can repeat the same steps and get to where I am. And that's what you want to do on social media. You want to get all your social media, all your posts, all your blog posts having a defined purpose. And here you have 4 types, and these are 4 purpose behind everything, every story that you create. And so again, you want to sit down, brainstorm. And what I do is I actually have a story bank. Every time I think about, I could talk about that story, I start jotting down. And some of you like journaling, right? So keep a journal and you have all these different stories. You may not realize that, this is a founder story. But years later or a couple of weeks later, you remember, I wrote something down. Let me go back to it, see what I wrote. And that was a perfect piece to talk about your vision, to talk about your purpose. So you may not have use for these story right away, but if you start getting into a habit of keeping track of them, I promise you they're going to come so helpful later. So what I have is I use something like Evernote. Evernote is where, it's a note-taking app. So a lot of time instead of doing like paper journaling, it's easier for me to just type, right? So if there's a story that comes to my mind, I keep it in my story bank inside my Evernote. And later on, let's say if I want to write an email, I'm like completely clueless and I'm in this writer's block. I don't know what to write about. I go to my story bank and I look at all these stuff that I have written down. What can I use that would prove a point, to share a value, to talk about a lesson, to reflect, or to have some type of metaphor that I can use and bring into my content creation? Then I bring that piece in my email or in my social media post. And then how you tie it together is you share your story, you talk about your story, right? And then you can say, the point is, so there's always a transition into what's coming up. Like, what's your point of talking about this story? So you can share your story and you wanted to end like transition into the point is. So the reason why I'm sharing this story is because, right? So you can share your story and there's transition line where you tie what's about to come up together. So if, let's say, I have a course, my attract client through storytelling course is coming up, and I want to talk about a founder story. I wanted to talk to everyone about how I started my attract client through storytelling course. Then I would say something along the line that I have this book, I'm trying to sell it, but I didn't know how to get it out. And so the reason why I started this attract client through storytelling is because I know how marketing is really the crucial point in order for us to get out there, to get seen, and get hired. And so that would be a transition. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is because attract client through storytelling is open for enrollment. So see how it seamlessly transition into my call to action, right? I start with the story and then I end it with a purpose. The reason why I want to talk about this story. And that's where your story to become to sell, right? You don't want to just simply tell a story and just leave people hanging. That's like the worst case scenario, right? You just told me an amazing story, inspiring and powerful. But here I am. You're not going to tell me like what to do next, right? You want me to get out of the audience and keep me hanging? I want you to actually think about, what do you want your audience to do? If you share a founder story, all right, so what's next? Share vision stories. Tell me what's next, right? What's coming up? What's the point of this? And so give everything that you create a purpose, a reason behind them. Okay, who's ready for the last one? So the last type of storytelling or story is the transformational story. Now, this should be like super easy, right? Or super easy and can be very complicated, because if you think about how we became coach, there's always that life transformational piece, right? Something happened and that resulted in something else. So it's a transformation. Like for me, it was, I was not happy about myself. I was doing a lot of self-critical judgment. And then, it led me to hiking Machu Picchu. And so it was a transformational journey of how I was something that was not happy with to something else. So the before and the after, that's your transformational story, right? Very, very commonly seen, especially in the coaching world. So the purpose behind your transformational story is that you want to build the authority. You want to increase your credibility. And this is going to result in better sales and better marketing. Why? Because this is something that you have done it yourself or someone else had done it before. And the result that they're getting that transformation, right? So not only do you have proof that this method works, you also establish why it makes you an authority in talking what you talk about, because someone else actually have done it before. So transformational story can be something about yourself, your before and the after picture, or it could be a case study, your client, right? A lot of times you see these testimonial. One mistakes that I see people making with testimonial is that people forget to paint the before and the after picture. Now, if you look at the fitness industry, they're doing great. Why? Because they have these photo of the client before and together with the client after. So you see this huge visual of what is possible right there in front of you. Now, how do you translate that into your coaching business? Like if you're a life coach or a mindset coach, how do you translate that into from the visual into word? You got to tell people like what was it before and what was it after, right? So people have a contrast and comparison of what that transformation is. So if you simply just tell, Judy had a great experience and she was really happy. She had an amazing experience with Michelle, and it's only painting a little small fraction of the testimonial. It's all about like, oh, how great her experience is, but it doesn't talk about where she was before. So in order to have that transformational story to be powerful, you definitely want to include something of the before and something of the after. So when you brainstorm all your stories in your bucket, right, in your entire life bucket, I know there's going to be several incidents where you can share that before and the after, where you were before the struggle. Maybe it was a challenging relationship. Maybe it was a physical or emotional roadblock that you were experiencing. What was it before, and what is it after? How are you able to connect the dot? Right? What was your solution? How did you come up with it? Those are the powerful stories that you can tell that's really truly going to inspire someone to get up and do exactly what you have done so that they can fix their life. Right? I know a lot of coaches, we don't use the word fix, but if you think about it, in your client's mind, in your soulmate client's mind, they're thinking about, can you help me to fix my struggle? Can you help me to fix my problem? And by sharing a transformational story, you will be able to help them, to walk them through that journey of what was before, what is after. And if you just infuse a little dose of, here's the step number one that you can do today to make a difference. And people would be reading it and they would be so drawn to you. They want to have more. Okay. So what are some of the examples of transformational story? Your transformational story is number one. Number two is it can be a testimonial or a case study. Let's say you don't feel comfortable. Maybe there's a story that's very tragic and too personal that you don't feel comfortable in sharing. What I would suggest is you can do case study, right? You can say so-and-so was here before and so is here now. And what is that story about? And so you can always kind of use a third person perspective. This is her story and not so much entirely yours. Now, one warning or one thing I want to caution you is that you don't want to make up story. Right? We have so many stories. You don't want to make up story. Why? Because essentially what you're doing is you're inviting your clients and you're inviting your audience to become your clients, right? So everything needs to be checked. And this is what I teach, right? Authenticity is the key. So everything needs to line up. If something happened, great, something happened, and talk about it. But don't make up your story. Okay? Don't make up story because that's just not real. So to end it, right? So transformation story, you need to demonstrate that you're able to help someone to resolve a problem. 4 types, let's summarize, okay? 4 types of story that you should be telling in order to convert someone into a paying client. Okay, 4 types. And I hope that when you sit down after you brainstorm, you're going to pick one for each category when you create social media content or when you're writing a blog. You don't throw everything into a mob podge together, right? You wanted to identify one, and there is a power of one because it gives your audience the clarity of what is it that you want them to learn, what is it that you want them to do. So there's power of one. So remember that. There's power of one. So each time, and remember, you have 365 days. So don't worry about it. You will have a chance to share one story, the next story. Okay. So don't like jump into, I need to talk about everything. You talk about one and lead them to one call to action, whether it's signed up with you, or maybe you want them to follow you on social media, or take my resource, grab my lead magnet, whatever you want them to do, and focus on that one. And so for 5 days a week, one day you're going to share like a founder story. The next day you can share a transformational story. The following day you can share a vision story. And then the last day you can share a purpose story. Now, Friday, we all want Friday. So we all want Friday. So Friday would be something that's like more like engaging, right? What is your so just have fun. Last week I think I shared something about the Groundhog Day. So Friday, keep it light, keep it simple, because most people are just looking for entertainment, right? So you want to create a balance with all these different stories. You don't want to all be serious. Like book a call with me. People tune you out very quickly. All right. So 4 types of story. Let me summarize for you: the founder story, the purpose stories, the vision story, and the transformation story. So the founder story is about engaging them with the value, right? The value that you have in your business. The purpose story is about why. Why are you doing what you do? Who is this for? What's in it for me? And the vision story is about painting them opportunity, right? Painting a vision of what is possible for them. And the transformation story is about transformation, the before and the after picture. Like it could be yours, it could be your clients that you have worked with. Like what is the before and the after? Okay, so that summarizes the 4 types of storytelling that you can do and share that will actually lead to a result, right? And it also minimize a lot of the overwhelming feeling that you may have when you creating social media content. This way you have a purpose, and that purpose is going to take you to your audience into your program. Hey, beautiful! Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast and found value from this episode, I would love for you to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform and leave me a rating and review. One thing I was struggling in my early years in business was finding the right people to connect with. It feels like I was on this entrepreneur journey on my own. And sometimes we all just need friends who can share our dreams and hopes. Someone who can relate to what we're going through as we grow our business together. If you are a woman coach who is ready to grow your coaching business and looking for strategies to get seen, get heard, and get hired, I want to invite you to come and find me in our community on Facebook at Get Clients with Storytelling. This is a community of women coaches who want to grow a coaching business by creating engaging, visible, and authentic content with storytelling for their business to get more leads and attract more clients. I will see you at our next tea party.